Well, last year, we covered Sonic's second big outing to the big screen, so now it's time for us to do the same for his red-capped Italian rival. Even though it wasn't the one I got introduced to first, Super Mario was the first big video game franchise I ever owned and got into as a kid. My history with this red-capped Italian mustache man spans almost 15 years at this point, having played countless games, won several races, and crashed more parties than I can count. He is the Mickey Mouse of video games. Everybody, whether or not they've even touched a video game controller, knows who he is. Just like with Sonic, as a kid, I never couldn't help but imagine what a movie starring Mario would be like. Just a quick note, as of typing and recording, I have never actually watched the live-action Mario movie from 1993, but from what I've heard, it was awful. I do have quite a few memories of enjoying the deep-produced cartoons though, having owned a lot of them on DVD as a kid. Looking back, they were pretty lame. They were cheesy, kiddish, and poorly animated, but as an 8-year-old, they were the coolest thing ever. They helped me get even more familiar with the franchise and introduced me to some of the older games in the process. So now, for the culmination of these two things, Mario's second chance at the big screen, Super Mario Bros., the movie. Headed by the same people who unleashed the Minion Facebook memes onto humanity, Illuminati. Now, Illumination is okay. Despicable Me 1 and 2 are great, but other than that, they're pretty mid. Good for a couple laughs, but that's about it. So, everybody was kinda on the fence when the news came that they were working on a Super Mario movie, especially with the rather odd choices for the cast. Now that the time has finally come, is this the movie I dreamed of as a kid? Well, let's go! Woohoo! The movie follows Mario and Luigi working a small plumbing service in New York before one night. They investigate a catastrophic flood and are sucked into a warp pipe, separating from each other in the process. Mario ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom, where he decides to train at the hand of Princess Peach to go save Luigi after he ends up in the clutches of Bowser, who plans to use the power of the Superstar and Ultra Simp energy to marry Princess Peach. Almost an origin story for the Super Mario Bros. I saw this movie with a bunch of my friends. We even took up a whole row, and boy oh boy, this was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had in a movie theater. Almost every minute or two, there was some sort of reference to not only something from the Mario franchise, but other Nintendo properties such as Punch-Out!, Duck Hunt, or even Kid Icarus. In a little bit, I will go more into spoilers, but for now, I'll try to add as many spoiler-free comments as I can. While everybody was on the fence about the voice casting at first, they all did a pretty solid job. Charlie Day nailed Luigi's timid but lovable nature, Anya Taylor-Joy did a solid Peach, Seth Rogen was awesome as DK, my friends and I laughed so hard when he did this signature, and Jack Black was at home with Bowser. Even Chris Pratt, despite taking some getting used to, did a good job as him. Even though I do wish Charles Martinet voiced him, the animation was gorgeous, some of the best I've seen in recent years. Looking at this, I can't help but think, this is from the same people who keep milking the Minions? But hey, if Sony can make Into the Spider-Verse and the Emoji Movie, then I guess anything's possible. Everything is so detailed and colorful, from the texture on the hair and clothes, to the lush environments almost looking right out of the games, heck, even better. The action and humor were pretty spot on, and I love the use of the power-ups and carts. Oh, and the score, absolutely amazing. Okay, so from this point forward, I will be delving into spoiler territory, so heads up. Check this timestamp if you want to avoid some, albeit pretty mild spoilers. This thing had my friends and I excitedly pointing out something and cheering almost every minute, whether it be musical cues or items from the games occasionally showing up. But one of the best reactions was when the DK rap started. The instant we heard it, we all freaked out chanting, DK, Donkey Kong. Everything we could have asked for was there. The Kongs appearing in the background, the blue shell attacking Mario and Donkey Kong on Rainbow Road, that terrifying eel that nearly traumatized me as a child. So many cool references that aren't just there for fan service. On top of that, the licensed music was also great, with a huge emphasis on 80s rock music, appropriate since Mario came out in the 80s. No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Holding Out for a Hero, Take On Me, this movie has it. Oh, and the score, I loved every musical cue that they did. The first piece of music you hear is the airship theme from Mario 3. That already established that we were in for a pretty good time, and the movie did not let up from there. But as with Sonic 2, this movie isn't perfect either. You remember how I said last year that Sonic 2 was too long? Well, this movie is a little too short, at just barely over an hour and a half long. The third act felt kinda rushed, and maybe adding an extra 10 minutes or so would have helped the pace and length a little more. Over an hour into the movie, I could feel myself thinking, aw, is it almost over? As most of the things that were revealed to be in the movie had already happened. Another problem I have is Luigi. Luigi is probably my favorite character franchise. Everybody loves him. While it's okay to see Peach be more than just a damsel, it stings to see that Luigi has taken her place and as a result, doesn't get to do much for most of the film. Also, I really hated how he revealed Mario's identity while being interrogated by Bowser. That felt like something the Luigi in the games would never do. The mid and post-credit scenes were, well, mid. Nothing too special compared to the Sonic movies. I gotta say, this was a fun little romp beginning to end. From my friends jamming out to the Mario music on the car ride there, to pointing out all the fun little references and cameos, to just enjoying everything this film had to offer. By the time it was over, we all agreed it was pretty darn sweet. You are certainly missing out if you love Mario and don't see this movie. This almost brought me back to being a kid and watching those Mario cartoon DVDs from Blockbuster. That's the best way I can describe this movie. It nearly made me feel like a kid again. It carries that same feeling of childhood wonder, excitement, and adventure that the games perfectly capture. Again, more could have been done, and I do wish Luigi had some more action, but this was still a great time. Just like the games, anybody, kid or adult, will enjoy this film. Just don't expect anything huge. Seriously, video game movies have been on a roll lately. Detective Pikachu broke the mold, Sonic 1 and 2 were surprisingly successful, and Mario has taken another, much better crack at the film industry. I can't wait to see where they go from here. If you have the time and any attachment to Mario, go ahead. Just don't go in with super unnecessarily high expectations like critics did. Like seriously, this had a lower score than the stinking Lorax movie? Did we even watch the same film? Forget what they say, this is a good, if rather straightforward movie adventure for the Mario crew that just about anybody can enjoy. And remember, if you spoil this movie for anybody or illegally upload any theater recordings on YouTube, you're gonna turn into a Goomba. Arrivederci.